Hello and welcome. Today we are in the Tier 10 Soviet destroyer, the Grozovoi. We're playing a match on the map Islands of Ice, and it is a Tier 8 to 10 battle. There are no aircraft carriers, but there are 3 radar cruisers on the enemy team. A Salem, a Moskva, and a Cleveland. Now the Grozovoi is the better of the 2 Soviet destroyers at Tier 10, but that's not really saying much considering how bad the Khabarovsk really is. She feels really outdated. And to be honest, Grozovoi feels a little of the same. Because Grozovoi's shtick is supposed to be that she has a lot of consumables, right? She isn't very good at torpedoing, she isn't very good at gunfighting, she isn't like super fast, she's good at all of them, but not very good. And she also doesn't have a very good concealment radius or anything like that. But what she's supposed to have is a huge number of consumables. She has a heal, a smoke screen, a speed boost, and a defensive fire. And this would be all well and good, however, I feel that she used to be stronger. Back when we had RTS CVs, the defensive fire consumable was very useful. But nowadays it only gives you 50% more continuous damage. Sure, it buffs your flak bubbles, but you don't have that many. Which effectively means that your defensive fire consumable doesn't do much. So you're left with heal, smoke, and speed boost. And let's be honest, the combination of these 3 is not really that spectacular anymore. Like, compare her to ships like the Allrounder with her amazing torpedoes, her amazing anti-air, and she also has pretty decent gun firepower, and she also has a heal. Sure, she doesn't have a smoke screen, but she has so much better torps that I think that kinda make up for it. Anyway, there are torpedoes coming, these are easy to dodge, and there's a booster behind me actually. I tell my team that the Shimakaze is here, just so that the other side doesn't have to worry about it. And hey, you know what? I'm gonna give this booster a smoke screen. Right? Because this is the right thing to do. I mean, it'll be difficult for the booster to end up using it, but that's something for him to figure out. He can at least use it, because I put it in front of him rather than onto his side or, you know, behind him or something along those lines. And I think this can be quite useful because imagine you're a destroyer on the enemy team, and you know there's a booster in the middle of the cap. And you also know that he's inside a smoke screen. Would you dare to approach that cap? I think the answer is no. So I launch my torps on the Bismarck that's coming closer. By the way, look at that reload. 2.5 minutes reload. Holland's torps reload in what, 80 seconds? This is 140. Almost double the duration. I mean, if the torp reload was faster, maybe it wouldn't be quite as bad, but there are so many things on the ship that feel like if they were just slightly better, it wouldn't be as big of an issue. One thing though that's very nice is the AP. Because of the shell arcs, you can actually, you know, quite reliably hit targets. Anyway, the 2 destroyers, the enemy destroyer and my destroyer, ahead of me in the B cap kinda took each other out, so I guess it'll be a free cap for me. Salem's firing on me, but I am fairly fast with my speed boost up. We're talking over 40 knots easily, and therefore I think she's gonna have a lot of trouble dealing significant amounts of damage, particularly because I do have a heal. So how would I change the Grozovoi? Well, I think she should have access to something like Daring's Hydro. I don't mean like a strong Hydro like Z52 or Z46, but something like Daring's that will spot torps and make it an option instead of defensive fire. I think that would be a great idea. But of course, Grozovoi doesn't really need buffs anywhere near as much as something like the Khabarovsk needs, right? Anyway, I'm gonna engage the Cleveland with AP because she is showing broadside, and that just seems like a silly thing for the Cleveland to do. Especially because she apparently can't aim enough to actually hit me. So I just did a whole bunch of free damage to her, and now, because I got out of range, I am invisible as well to her. I feel like Cleveland could have played it slightly better. I suppose things like this, Grozovoi is actually pretty damn good at. Because the AP is pretty useful, the shell arcs are pretty good so you can land your shells, and I mean, combine that with your speed, smoke, and heal, maybe Grozovoi does make sense. But the torp reload just makes me kinda go eh. And the fact that she only has, what, 54k DPM base. That also makes me question things a little bit. That's with HE, of course. I mean, a lot of destroyers nowadays have significantly more. Anyway, let's head towards the other side of the flank. I mean, we took the A cap, we took the B cap, so I guess the next one is the C cap, right? I didn't want to try to chase the Shimakas over at the A cap anyway, because there were lots of ships around, especially Salem and Cleveland. You know, that's with a hydro, or sorry, with radar, and I'm just gonna smoke over here and just engage the Neptune. The smoke is for my Mogami, that's behind me. I'm pretty sure she's going to very much appreciate it. And again, this will make the... I would like to say this would make the destroyer over here wary of me, but I don't actually know if there is a destroyer here anymore. Oh no, never mind, there is, absolutely. That's the Z-52. I guess I was thinking maybe the Z-52 would be more over to this side near the Neptune though, but apparently not. So one thing you can do against the AP spamming Royal Navy cruisers, works against SAP too, is to just point your bow basically directly at them. And they have a lot of trouble dealing damage to you, because they just find it difficult to actually hit you, and when they do, if they hit stuff like your bow, they won't be able to overmatch it. And so they will simply just bounce off. They can obviously still deal damage when they hit your superstructure, but have you ever actually tried hitting a destroyer superstructure when she is bow on to you? And still, you know, maneuvering a little bit? It's really hard. Anyway, I'm gonna go behind the Alsace and the Key. Maybe we can run into the Z-52 even. All we really need to do is just spot her, because I do have that friendly Mogami behind me. That's why it pays to smoke your allied cruisers, because they are much more likely to support you. Oh, there's the Z-52, hello! And I guess I'll just use speed boost and try to turn away, because if the Z-52 turns out that she has a smokescreen and Hydra at the moment, that would go rather poorly for me. It's better to just put some more distance, be safer against torps, be safer against the Hydra smoke combination. And I mean, I do have support, so this should be a rather easy ship to get rid of. There are the torpedoes, but they won't matter. And Mogami finished her off. Excellent. And there goes the Key, which also means that there's only an Alsace left here, so I could just YOLO rush her. Well, okay, technically the Key is still alive, but not for very long here. Oh, those are Key torpedoes, but we have already avoided them because we wanted to YOLO rush the Alsace. I think it'll be much safer for me to YOLO the Alsace than any of my ships here, because they could potentially be punished, or it'll end up a ram trade or something like that, whereas I might be shot at, but again, I still have a heal left, and I still have a smoke screen, and I have plenty of speed. So Alsace is gonna have some trouble surviving this or dealing much damage in return. And then we should be able to take the C cap as well. Goodbye, Alsace. Okay, now we get to go back and take the C cap. I mean, we've already capped A, we've already capped B, so C will complete the set. And I think that has kind of cemented our victory, or made it very likely that we will win. Wait, am I not gonna make it into the cap? Oh, please tell me not. No, this is so sad. This is so sad. I really wanted to at least get a little bit of this cap, but I guess taking out the Alsace was worth it. Regardless, I mean, that just affects how much XP I get at the end of the game rather than anything else. Even then, just a few points on capping wouldn't probably have made much of a difference. So, now we go back towards the B cap and we try to defend it, because we have lost the A side. However, they have only one destroyer left. Well, actually, we only have one destroyer left too, but we've only had one DD for a long time. By the way, looking at the minimap, torpedoes are over there, so Shimakaze must be somewhere in that area. Like, she must be there. I mean, there's a chance, of course, that she turned away, but who would make such a choice? Obviously, the Shima would head over towards us to be able to get the next set of torps, even if not onto us, to the Missouri. Which means that Shima will be somewhere ahead of me, and I will try to go find her. I have almost 17k HP, I still have a heal, I still have a smoke screen. I am liking my chances. Because while a Shima might have 135k HE DPM, when you add up stuff like my commander skills and upgrades, etc., I will definitely out DPM her. And well, considering she's at 10k HP, yeah. She is pretty much already gone at this point, because I don't see how she could disappear. It's not like she knows I am here, right? She has RPF pointed at me. Actually, is that? No, that can't be Shima's RPF. It has to be somebody else's RPF. Because that Bismarck is much closer to the Shima. Wait, is the Bismarck's Hydro actually spotting the Shima? Wow, that's even worse for the Shima, isn't it? But this also means that that's goodbye, Shimakaze. Oh, and she ran aground too! Oh, everything is going wrong for the Shimakaze here. By the way, if you're okay, goodbye, Shima. If you're wondering what camouflage this is some kind of Master of the Water World, or I don't really know what it was. It's one of those camos that doesn't look the greatest, but the guns sound amazing. I don't know if this maybe Grozovoi stock guns sound like this, but at least I put it on the Grozovoi and it sounds great. And actually I'm liking it a bit. Maybe I shouldn't have smoked here. Kind of worthless, wasn't it? Ooh, Za is fairly low, so I'm swapping back to AP. Especially since she is showing some side. Never mind, I guess. That was unnecessary. I should have probably kept HE and just fired my guns. So, now they only have an Iowa. Is that an Iowa? Yeah, that has to be an Iowa. And a Salem. I am definitely gonna go out, try to spot the Salem, and hopefully my friendly Musashi behind me will be able to deal with her. Or, I believe that's... I have no idea what cruiser's behind me. I'm guessing it's a Salem, because she also radared, but not really sure. At this point I think I should freely be able to engage with my guns. It's not going to make any real difference. But just in case, I want to open up a little bit wider here. And wait until the Salem actually gets more behind an island. So that she can't just stop and start farming me. Because it's entirely possible for a Salem to still, potentially at least, sink me. Let's use some more AP. Because this AP seems to be pretty nice. Like, I'm liking it. Okay, I mean, it's not doing the greatest amounts of damage, but the reload's fairly fast, so it's okay. Maybe I should aim slightly differently, who knows. That's a Confederate. And now the Salem's behind the island, gonna engage the Bismarck. Bismarck actually has a lot of trouble with the Salem, because Salem has a 27mm bow, and Bismarck has 380mm caliber guns. Bismarck guns cannot overmatch Salem's bow, which means that as long as Salem simply points her nose towards the Bismarck cannot severely hurt her. However, the Bismarck doesn't have the support of a Missouri, a Mogami, and I'm guessing the Riga as well. So I don't think the Bismarck is going to be in too much trouble. It would be potentially possible that the Salem manages to ram the Bisco or just DPMs her down from the side with AP, because the Bismarck is showing her side. But I mean, it's not going to affect the result of the game though, so it'll be okay. Oh yeah, I think Salem is actually going to take her out. Yep. Wow, well done by the Salem, I think. Like, that's exactly the type of thing a Salem should do against the Bismarck. So if you're wondering, overmatch is essentially when you have a very thin armor plate and a very large caliber shell. The large caliber shells can simply overmatch and the angle doesn't matter, so it can't ricochet. But Salem's armor is thick enough on the bow that this calculation does not come into play. It will effectively always ricochet if the angle is poor enough. Anyway, now we're engaging the Iowa. She did fire on us, but I don't think she's going to have too much success, because even when she hits, you know, it'll be simply over penetration worth of damage. I really like the sound of these guns. Yay, we got a fire on the Iowa. Excellent. Oh, and the game end. Oh well, I guess we couldn't take the A-cap back again, but we would have if time had permitted. And hey, in this Grozovoi game, we honestly kind of did everything, right? Or almost everything. We kept the A-cap, we kept the B-cap, we basically kept C, and we kinda just went around the map helping wherever help was needed. And and we also smokescreened an Worcester and the Mogami. So we really had a lot of team play this time. And I think Grozovoi is pretty good for stuff like that. Perhaps Grozovoi doesn't need a buff after all, maybe she just needs more love from the player base. I'm not really sure. Because, let's be honest, she performed very well this game. And I could have fought at least one other destroyer here. However, of course I didn't fight like the scariest ships here, but I definitely could have done more. So maybe Grozovoi doesn't need a buff, maybe players just need to consider her an option. But she definitely isn't as powerful as she used to be, because defensive fire just isn't that powerful anymore. Maybe she just needs an anti-air buff to make her like a Holland. Anyway, the captain skills I used are Priority Target, Last Stand, Survivability Expert, Concealment Expert, then Superintendent, and Adrenaline Rush, and then Basic Firing Training. Because she really needs the the Superintendent, because she has so many different consumables, but they only have two charges. So you need the Superintendent to get the third heal, and etc. So the DPM with her, with this build, is pretty good. So in the last slot I used the Legendary upgrade. This improves her reload by quite a lot. However, it also increases your torpedo reload. Now, I think this is worth it because you're mostly going to be fighting other ships with your guns. And having a fast reload and DPM like this I think is worth it. However, it's not a very balanced loadout, because with all of this I have a 155-second torp reload. So I'm not really sure whether it's worth it or not, but it seems to be good enough. Then I use the concealment upgrade and and then the fourth slot, obviously propulsion mod, because again, when you're in a smoke screen, torpedoes are coming, you want to move as quickly as possible from that. Here, if I didn't have the legendary, I would probably go for the torpedo upgrade, but since I have it, I went for dispersion. Second slot, I use engine boost. If I didn't have this, then engine room protection, and in the third slot, main arms modification 1. So overall, Grozovoi feels okay, but she doesn't feel quite as powerful as she used to be. And I kinda feel bad for it. Like, the AA just isn't there. I mean, look at these AA numbers, right? 77 anti-air damage to long range, 174 at 3.5. Why? Like, why doesn't she have amazing numbers there? Like, something that's just completely ridiculous. You know, just like the Holland has. Because that's one of the roles she was envisioned in. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I would like to thank the patrons on Patreon. Thank you very much for your continued support, and I hope I'll see you guys next time.